Hey team, welcome back. Hope everybody's doing well. What are we getting into today? Well, I'm gonna go right up the street to either a Family Mart or a Lawson's. Might even have one at the 7-Eleven, but I gotta find one of those little photo booths that will allow me to take a passport style kind of photo. That way? Or up there? That way? Okay. And gonna use that to go down to Naha, well not quite Naha, just a bit north of Naha, in the vicinity thereof, to the prefectural driver license department or authority or whatever they call it, to get an updated IDP or International Driver's Permit, because the one that I had, one, we left it in Thailand, but two, it expired last month anyway, so gonna go. Look, somebody tried to drive that free bike right there. They didn't get very far. They moved it about 100 feet. Anyway. But yeah, gonna try to go down there and get a new IDP. That way I can kind of bridge the gap between my, getting to Thailand and having a U.S. driver's license that is expired or on the verge of expiring, because my military service will be ending. And bridge the gap of that and having to get a Thai driver's license. Because the IDP will support a more efficient process there for getting the international driver permit. But anyway, that's what we're up to today. So I got my passport, I got my flight details, which I forgot to take last time we did this, and it turned into a huge pain trying to find a printer around that area near the offices there that would allow me to use an app to link up to it and print my flight details. So I got my itinerary, I got my orders that carried me into this tour on Okinawa, I got my passport and all that good stuff. So I think we should be good. And talking through what we're doing with visas, the Thai eVisas are a pretty streamlined affair. There's no more visiting. Well, you may have to, but at least for extended tourist visas, you don't have to visit the consulates anymore. You can do it all online. So I applied for both myself and our son extended tourist visas to get us into Thailand at least, because I believe that on 1 May, I'm not sure of the date, but I think they rescinded the whole 60-day visa on entry or visa on arrival for tourists, and I think it reverted back to 30 days. So the aim is to get both 60-day visas for my son and I. And because my wife and I have never registered our 20-year marriage that we have in the U.S. on the Thai side of things thus far, I applied for a tourist visa to support me being there for up to 60 days. And during that time frame is when we'll be registering our marriage, and then applying for a non-immigrant visa for myself to stay there for an extended period of time. And I think that comes with like 90-day check-ins and whatnot with a 1-year validity. But I'll follow up if that's not the case. And you guys will be along for the ride anyway, so you'll see it live action as I complain and fight my way through all the hurdles. Look, if you're gonna retire and move abroad or stay abroad, there's always gonna be some obstacles or some processes that you got to deal with, and it's never black and white, as we would say in the Marine Corps, or tied to this one. This is the way it's got to be done. So we're attacking a couple of multiple different avenues at once: driver's licenses, marriage registration, and all that. You think they got one here?
Oh no, 100 yen.
Oh, okay. They got a 100 yen shop over here in the neighborhood that's got a photo booth. Oh, sure enough. It sure does. We never used this one before. You used this one last time?
No, Family Mart.
First time, huh?
Yep.
Yep. Boy, it's busy in here today.
I know. Okay.
It's full parking lot. But anyway, gonna roll in here real quick and show you the little photo booth. But these are pretty common throughout Japan and maybe the rest of Asia. I don't really know. check out this photo booth. All right, pop right into this bad boy, and that'll be done in a jiffy. Yeah, so it looks like receive photos, or I guess this will give you them digitally. I don't know why it didn't carry over to either way. Let's go
Please
start.
select and touch the type
Premium
of
or
finish.
I think just regular. For
Please
use.
touch the use of your ID photos.
Driver's license.
Yep.
Ew,
Please
color.
touch
Yep.
Please
And
select and touch a color
see
for
อะไร
the
ลาสตาม
background.
สีฟ้าใช่ไหม
ข้าวสิ
ข้าวเหรอจริงเหรอ
I think.
These are selected.
Hold on.
Is it okay
Oh,
with
blue.
you?
Blue.
If
Let me go
it's
back. Yeah, I thought it was blue. Blue,
these are selected.
premium finish, and
Is it okay
proceed.
with you? Please select one photo.
Yeah. So now you wait for it to print out, and biggity bam, we're off to the races. Hey-o. All right, photos behind us. We're gonna scoot on down the way, and we'll probably pick back up with you when we get down to the prefectural driver license joint. Catch you on a bit. Yeah, just a quick follow-up. One thing I wanted to add on all of the eVisa process. Our son's application was a few days ahead of mine because they're leaving a few weeks before us. So I submitted for his. And then a few days later, I was like, you know what? We know we're all getting out of here within a few weeks of each other, so why don't we just go ahead and apply for mine too? But anyway, since his was a few days ahead of mine, it's a few days further along in the process of the documents review and all of that stuff. So I got on there and checked it not too long before we left the house this morning. And there were some updated requirements. They wanted to see proof of his return flight to Japan. They wanted to see an invitation letter from my wife, and they gave us an example, and it's all in Thai, but it's basically an invitation to say like, hey, I'm going to sponsor this human being to come to the Kingdom of Thailand for however long, and this is where we'll be staying at. In addition to that, they wanted a copy of my wife's Thai ID, which we had on hand, and then they also wanted a copy of her house book to say that we, and by we I mean she, owns a house there in Korat. What I would advise folks to do, and this is probably strange for people that aren't in the military, or maybe it's not if you're a really organized person, but I would keep like an admin folder, and you don't have to call it that. You can call it files, forms, you can call it ID verification stuff, whatever you want to call it. You can call it Pee-wee's Playhouse if you want to, I guess. But I would just keep copies of all those documents in there, right? Like your passport bio page, maybe a copy of the front of your ID, not a DOD ID, right? If you're military, because we're not supposed to scan those things or take pictures of them, but whatever. Maybe a house book if you have a Thai spouse. That might be helpful to validate an address. Maybe military orders, maybe something to that effect. Maybe some of your, I don't know, military retirement paperwork stuff, a DMO letter per se, or for example, I don't know. But I would just keep all kinds of things like that in one consolidated folder so that you readily have access to it. If not on your desktop, you know, maybe you keep that on a hard drive or something. And maybe even a copy of your, I know this is gonna trigger a lot of you boomers out there, but maybe a copy of your Social Security card, if you're comfortable with that being on there. But I can't remember all of the family's Social Security numbers, and we're a family of 3, so if you got a family bigger than that and you're thinking about relocating somewhere abroad, maybe that's just something you ought to keep handy. And it also comes in handy for taxes and things of that nature. So yeah, that's it. And we uploaded, scanned all that stuff, got it in the system, and sent it back over, and just I had wifey on her invitation letter just add a note on the bottom to like, hey, you know, I know this is a little bit of an anomaly, but our son is coming to Thailand, but it's basically just to bridge that gap between us separating from the military from Okinawa to hanging out with some family in Thailand, in that in-between kind of stage between him coming back to Japan for university. So yeah, and hopefully they're cool with that kind of means of communication. Sometimes things are black and white, sometimes they're more gray, sometimes, you know, who knows. But I don't think we turn here. I think we can go. Yeah. But yeah, that's where we're at. So I would anticipate seeing the same kind of notification on my own application here in another day or two. And now that I have all of those things scanned and readily available, I can just upload them right back into the system. Besides having my wife fill out an invitation on my behalf for her husband of 20 years that we've never registered there in the kingdom. But we're getting there. We're getting there. And then we're going to get into bank accounts and adding my name to the house book and driver licenses in Thailand and all that other good stuff. So yeah, y'all stay tuned, and we're going to head on down the way to the driver license joint. All right, peace. Well, we have arrived. This is the place right here. Haven't been in here for a while. I assume that they stay open through lunch, but they might be shutting down at 12, so we're going to boogie in there real quick and see if we can get in line. Check back in with you here in a bit. And it is a government building, folks, so I'm not going to go in there waving the camera around and causing a commotion, so we'll catch up with you on the backside. Well, we're back out of there. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. Took us about, probably, you think we're in there 20 minutes? Maybe?
Less than.
We were in there less than 20 minutes, and we had the wrong photos. So it's got to be one size bigger than the ones that we took. So we took photos that were for a driver license itself, as if you were getting an actual Japanese driver's license. But for the international permit, it's a slightly bigger photo. And when I was standing in line to check in, I saw a couple of the books that were handed back to people, and I noticed right off the bat that their photo page was a little bit bigger than what I had. And I was like, maybe they'll let it slide. Let's see what happens. And first thing he said was like, hey, these are too small, but just go over there to window 19 and take a picture. So I don't think they had a photo booth in here last time we came, or the last. We've been in here 3 or 4 times, huh? Over the last several years. Yeah. We've been in Okinawa almost 6 years, and we've been in here probably 4 or 5 times to get these international driving permits. And this is the first time that I noticed that they actually have a photo booth. And so you walk in there and pay them 600 yen, and then I literally gave her the change, sat right down, had a picture, and I was done. And the whole transaction was a minute, maybe 2 minutes at best. It was really quick. And then I carried that right back over to the window where I was working on my paperwork, and the guy was just waiting with the rest of my package. One thing that he did note, these are typically good for a year. My SOFA driving license only runs to like the expiration of this tour for me, and in this case it's my end of active service date, my EAS. But that's okay, right? That gives me 2 months and some change to figure it out while we're in Thailand. So by that point, hopefully I've got a visa in the works, and I can get my license established, which I think is a very temporary. Your initial time license is a year?
2
years?
Mm-hmm.
Your first one?
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's good for 2 years. I didn't think it was, but you get one that's very temporary, and then after that you go back and you get another one. But hopefully this will prevent me from having to do a whole driving test and all that other stuff in Thailand, which I don't think would concern me. But one thing that they do test for, and I'm not a fan of, is I've probably gotten better at it here in Okinawa, but parallel parking. We don't really do that a whole lot in America. Growing up in Mississippi, I never had to do that. So maybe if you lived in like Jackson or somewhere, I guess, maybe that's a thing. but we just don't do it that often. It wasn't a very urban space where I grew up at. But anyway, yeah, so that alleviates hopefully taking a driving test and a whole lengthy process. But you do have to go to a hospital there and get a medical checkup. I think you check your eyeballs. Yeah, check your vision, and it may just be like just a rough, like, overall general physical kind of thing they do. But I don't know. I'm rambling. Either way, we're in and out of there, and now I've got an international driving permit for a good couple of months. Well, for the rest of May, June, July, August. It'll run through September, and that should afford me plenty of time to get a license once we get over there. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of one of the next missions. But all right, we'll get back on the attack. I think we're gonna head back up to Chitancho if we don't run by the outlets over here real quick and get something cool to drink and maybe stroll around a bit. But we got a few hours to kill, at least an hour or so, and then it'll take us 35-40 minutes to get back up to the neighborhood. We got to pick our son up because he's going to be held after school today, not for detention, but because he's doing some of his AP final exams. This one's AP computer science that he's knocking out today, and it was a longer test, so I think it ran from like noonish to the end of the day. But yeah, and then he's going to be getting into a computer science program when he comes back over to Japan for university. So yeah, cool. Super excited about that. Have someone still here in Japan so we can swing a visit or two every year. But all right, I'm rambling. Catch up with y'all in a bit. Bye. Hey folks, back at the house. Gonna close this one out, but I will leave some information down in the description below about how to get yourself down to the prefectural driver's license place down there towards Naha. In the event that you want to pursue getting yourself an IDP or an international driver's permit while you're out here, and you might need it in a country that's close to Japan if you want to fly over and visit. So yeah, we'll drop all that down below. Thanks for coming along today. We'll see y'all later. Bye.